Yosemite National Park, located in the Sierra Nevada mountains in California, is not only striking in its beauty, but also hides many secrets. Every year, millions of tourists visit this park, but some of them never return. Yosemite Park was established in 1864 and became part of the U.S. National Park Service in 1890. The park covers more than 740,000 acres and is known for its majestic waterfalls, breathtaking sunsets, and a variety of recreational opportunities. More than 4 million people visit the park every year. However, along with its natural beauty, Yosemite also has a dark side. Every year, hundreds of people disappear in the national parks, and while most are found, some cases remain unsolved. In addition to mysterious disappearances, other mysterious events occur in the park that are difficult to explain. Former Yosemite Park Ranger John Bingaman describes several strange events that have occurred in the park in his book, The Yosemite Guardians, published in 1961. He begins by saying that the ranger's records of strange accidents over the years read like fiction from a storybook. The first strange event he described concerned a strange thunderstorm. One day, a violent thunderstorm suddenly broke out over Glacier Point as 30 riders were riding their horses. Lightning struck near the corral, and fiery bolts of lightning ran down the trail, killing 9 horses. The riders, fortunately, were not injured, only shocked that lightning struck so close to them and killed their horses. None of the group members will ever forget this experience. It's worth noting that the likelihood of lightning striking so many living things at once is extremely low. But this is not the only time that strange lightning has appeared in Yosemite and proved deadly. In 1985, at about 7 o'clock in the evening, 5 climbers climbed the Half Dome overlooking Yosemite Valley and sat atop a cave. Then, out of nowhere, lightning struck the group, killing 2 of them and injuring the other 3, 2 of whom were in critical condition. The lightning threw one of the climbers down from a height of about 1,200 meters. 16-year-old Brian Gordon was one of the 2 who died of fatal injuries, although the identity of the second person who died was not disclosed until relatives were notified of the incident. 28-year-old Tom Rice and 24-year-old Bruce Weiner were hospitalized at the University of California Davis Medical Center and were in critical condition after being struck by lightning. 22-year-old Adrian Esteban was treated at the medical center and discharged the same day. The incident prompted the National Park Service to issue a safety advisory on how to identify and avoid lightning and thunderstorms in Yosemite. Another set of strange events that John talks about are several reports of strange coyote behavior. Here's another unusual event he described. Jeffrey Stanton of Walnut Creek, California, was camping at Wawona Campground early one morning. A coyote bit him on the head while he was sleeping. He woke up in time to see the coyote trying to hide in the bushes. The man was given first aid and the necessary treatment for rabies at Lewis Memorial Hospital. Rangers conducted an intensive hunt for a week, but the coyote was never found. And fortunately, Mr. Stanton was not injured in the incident. A similar incident occurred a month later, when Carl Munson was camping in Wawona. A coyote, or wild dog, scratched him on the head while he was sleeping on the ground. Again, there were no bad reactions from this experience, but the rangers hunted for several days to no avail. It was assumed that the animal was hunting for food and ran past Carl as he turned or moved in his sleeping bag. Perhaps the animal thought it was something to pounce on, as they often do when looking for small game or birds. John ended the section on strange occurrences by reminding us that these particular accidents are just a few of the many that are reported and handled by rangers throughout the year. In Yosemite National Park, tourists have also frequently seen what looks like UFOs. For example, on September 19, 2002, in the evening hours just after sunset, Yosemite visitors saw an unexpected visitor in the sky, a bright ball-shaped light. Although the orb was classified as a UFO, it was surrounded by another luminous halo, much larger than itself, and was followed by miles of zigzagging smoke. The ball of light moved slowly across the sky, and the visitor was able to capture the event on camera before the disk finally disappeared into the night. The witness writes that Air Force planes arrived and flew over the area several times. Nothing unusual was observed. Numerous other similar incidents have occurred in Yosemite, and to this day we do not know for sure what these strange aerial visitors were. The footage of the UFOs filmed that evening in 2002 is considered one of the best of its kind at the time, given that lightweight video cameras were not popular until the 90s, and that phone camera recording was only introduced in the United States in the early 2000s. This is not surprising. And yet it seems that little real investigation is being done, or perhaps no investigation is being published to help uncover these UFO sightings by determining what they are, where they come from, and why they appear in the skies over Yosemite. It is tempting to think that people should have outgrown their fear of what goes bump in the night in Yosemite, but despite our modern scientific knowledge and advanced technology, some of the most disturbing mysteries we face still remain unsolved. Perhaps there is more to old tales than meets the eye. Here are just a few of the many legends that come from the Yosemite area. Fish-shaped women and the Miwok folktale. It is said that thousands of years ago, when the Ahuanchis were still a young people, the Merced River was home to fish women or mermaids. The mermaids were beautiful creatures with fishtails, scales and fins, and upper bodies like those of gorgeous women. They could not leave the water but often sat on rocks in shallow waters, watching the Ahwahnee warriors comb their long black hair with combs while singing their most alluring songs. As charming as the mermaids were, the warriors were not easily fooled, and they knew that mermaids were beautiful but sinister. One day, two warriors were fishing in the deep river backwaters. Using a net woven from milkweed threads, they got tangled in stones at the bottom of the river, so one of the warriors dove to free the net. The mermaids could not resist this opportunity. As soon as the brave man was under the surface of the water, the mermaids jumped out from under the stones. They tied the net strings to his toes and kept him underwater until he drowned. Then they untied the brave man and took him to their hidden land under the river, and no one ever saw the brave man or the mermaids again. The Miwok Pohono legend claims that an ancient evil spirit haunts the site of a wedding veil fall in Yosemite, manifesting itself as a seductive and enticing wind. The story tells of an elderly Ahwahnee woman and girl who were picking berries along a stream above Bridal Veil Falls when something bad happened. As they were competing for the ripest berries, the girl turned away from her work, looked down the stream, and walked to the edge of the falls where she saw a colorful mist swirling high in the air. The girl was fascinated by the beauty of the colors and enchanted by the presence of the mist and the energy it carried. She became more and more hypnotized until finally she gave up hunting for berries altogether and moved downstream, closer to the swirl of colors and closer to the edge of the waterfall. Nothing could draw her attention away from the fog, not the older woman calling to her in the background, not even her own self-preservation. As she was lured closer to the waterfall, she focused only on the heady, colorful cloud of mist and the wind. As she took the last few steps to the edge of the waterfall, the whirlwinds of wind let out a cry of unholy joy and swallowed her whole. The evil spirit used the wind to lift the girl's body up and throw her over the edge of the waterfall. Kohono watched as the girl plunged into the rocky depths below. The older woman was terrified by what she had just seen. She quickly descended the cliff, navigating the rough terrain as best she could. She ran back to the tribal camp, screaming that Pohono, the spirit of the evil wind, had dragged the girl away. After hearing the old woman's story, the old chief Ahwahnee warned all the other members of his tribe that they should never dare to go inside Pohono. He warned them that it was the dwelling place of an evil spirit who would drag them there and throw them off the waterfall to their deaths, where their souls would be carried to the land of darkness and suffering of Pohono to be held in captivity until Pohono found a new victim. To this day, it is said that after the girl's death, no other Ahwahnee has ever dared to fall into Pohono's hands. The Ahwahnee Hotel in Yosemite National Park was opened in 1927. The hotel is one of the most prominent registered national monuments in the United States. It offers all the amenities you need right in the center of the Sierra Mountains. There are also some potentially inconvenient amenities. The hotel's mezzanine is believed to be haunted by two ghosts from World War II, which may be due to the fact that the Ahwahnee was used as a naval hospital for rehabilitation during the war. The hotel is said to be haunted by numerous other spirits, including Mary Curry Tresator, who was involved in the design and opening of the hotel, as well as none other than President John F. Kennedy. After helping to design the hotel, Mary Curry Tresator actually lived in a private apartment in the hotel until her death in 1970, and it is believed that it was her spirit that began to scare guests on the 6th floor shortly thereafter. Since then, guests and staff have frequently reported her ghost. Her spirit is said to be more of a prankster than a threatening creature, as she is known to perform caring acts, such as tucking guests in while they sleep or folding their clothes that were previously scattered throughout the room. Guests have also reported that their belongings have been moved around the rooms and that Mary's ghost has called to them. U.S. President John F. Kennedy stayed on the 3rd floor of the hotel during his visit to Yosemite in 1962. During his stay, a rocking chair was installed in the room at the request of the president himself, who complained of back pain. JFK reportedly spent a lot of time in this chair, rocking to chase away time and pain, perhaps reflecting. After his visit, the rocking chair was removed from the hotel room. After his death in 1963, There were frequent reports of a ghostly rocking chair mysteriously appearing in the room where the president slept. The chair has even been seen moving through the halls and other rooms on the third floor. Various other incidents have been reported in the hotel, including ghosts and disembodied footsteps coming from everywhere. There are also many cases of mysterious disappearances in the national park, and today we will look at 5 of the most mysterious cases. 20-year-old Tom Opperman disappeared on August 8, 1967. Tom's last known location was Lake Merced. He was going to hike Mount Clark in Yosemite. Tom's plan was that after climbing Mount Clark, he would head to Glacier Point and return to the valley. 2 days later, on August 10th, after Tom was reported missing, a large-scale search was launched, with 16 U.S. Marines being called in to help. A week later, the main search was scaled back to cover only the Lake Merced and Clark Mountain area. David Condon, then assistant park director, said, "After a week of intensive searching, we believe that the boy probably met with some sort of accident." On September 25, 1967, a 3-person team set out on one last attempt to find Tom. Nothing was found during this last attempt. As of today, Tom's case remains unsolved and there have been no further updates. 54-year-old Emerson Holt disappeared on July 18, 1943, more than 80 years ago while hiking in Yosemite National Park. Emerson was the vice president of the Riverside Title Company and was well known to many villagers. A large search party was assembled shortly after his disappearance, but nothing was found. An article published in the San Bernardino newspaper on July 24, 1943, states that the Yosemite National Park authorities called Emerson's disappearance a hoax. Emerson was with a large group of friends when he disappeared. They had left Happy Isles, heading for Camp Lake, which was 7 miles away. When the group was almost at their destination, Emerson complained of pain in his legs and asked to sit down and rest. He told the group that he would catch up with them, but they never saw him again. Emerson often hiked the trails in Yosemite and was very familiar with the area. Nevertheless, the area where he disappeared was not as dangerous as some other areas of the park. The park superintendent at the time, Frank Kittredge, said the group was alarmed when Emerson did not return, and the search began immediately. He also said that he and other park staff were puzzled because the Merced River, where Emerson was vacationing, is shallow and not fast, and there were no rocks or deep bodies of water for several hundred meters around. How could Emerson have disappeared without a trace, so close to his destination, with so many people around? On August 6th, the search became more intense and was still in full swing. As reported by the Desert Sun newspaper, no later digitized articles about Emerson Holt's disappearance have been found, and his ultimate fate remains unknown. 26-year-old Walter Gordon disappeared on July 20, 1954, when he was believed to be hiking up the trail to Glacier Point Glacier. Walter was a researcher at the University of California, a Yosemite Park employee, and an experienced hiker in general. He carried a boxed lunch with him and planned to stop and eat somewhere along the trail. Former Yosemite Park Ranger John Bingham recounted Walter's disappearance, along with many others, in Chapter 7 of his publication, Yosemite Park Rangers. John writes that Walter was working at Camp Curry in Yosemite, and when it became known that he was missing, other rangers went looking for him. As for the search and rescue operation, the rangers searched for many days. Hunting dogs and a helicopter were used, but no trace was ever found. The helicopter that was used in the search for Walter was one of the first ever used in the park. Despite great efforts, nothing was found. How could a young, agile park employee disappear during a hike he had probably taken many times before? As of today, Walter's case remains unsolved and no news has been released. 73-year-old Lewis Miller disappeared in September of 1900, and 50 somewhere in the vicinity of the Mono Pass Trail south of Tioga Pass at the end of an old road. On the day Lewis disappeared, he was staying with 2 graduates of the Meadow Ranger Station. Lewis and his son, Lieutenant Miller, were fishing that day, and they temporarily split up to fish on their own. Lewis went up the Dana Fork while his son fished downstream. They were supposed to meet back at the car around 5 in the evening, but Lewis never showed up. His son quickly notified authorities. Ranger John immediately organized a ranger search team consisting of Ranger Lowry Brown, another ranger, and 2 members of the Miller family. They searched along the creek with flashlights until midnight, but to no avail. Early the next morning, they received additional help from headquarters. 30 searchers spent the entire day without finding a single trace. The searchers worked in the area for 10 days, but to no avail. Horseback rangers combed the area but found nothing. On the eastern side of the seacoast, notices were posted at various points. This was done with the hope that if he was a victim of amnesia or got out of there on foot, someone would recognize him as he walked along the trail or road. Lewis disappeared without a trace, and what happened to him remains a complete mystery to this day. Despite the best efforts of search teams, technical innovations, and the dedication of rangers, some cases remain a mystery. Are there natural factors that contribute to these events? Or could it be something more that remains beyond our understanding? That's all for now. Share your thoughts in the comments below and tell us if you have encountered similar mysterious situations in national parks. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Take care and see you in the new videos.